Hello everyone and welcome on in. In this video we'll be ranking every Killer Blighted skin from worst to best. These are the skins that usually get released each year around Halloween and change the killer due to the blight that has been injected into them. This is just my opinion on the topic, but please let me know your rankings in the comment section. Let's get into it. Plague will start us off. Plague's Blighted outfit is one of the weakest as it appears quite basic and is way too similar to the original skin, as the only real change is the blight in place of where the plague is on her body, and nothing else really gets changed up otherwise. I do still quite like her skin though. Next up is Trapper. I find that his skin is quite simplistic, but what puts him above Plague in my opinion is that he has been altered more in some areas, like the longer spikes on his back and the distorted mask with the blight leaking from the eyes. The weapon, however, is way too similar to the original, with a small amount of the blight serum on it. More could have been done to Trapper, to be honest. Huntress's skin seems like one of the least blighted of all the blighted skins. The large growths of hair over her body is quite a nice feature though, as it makes her look more animalistic, which fits into her lore a bit more, as she is described as being bear or wolf-like. The mask is the highlight of the skin for me, as it makes her look more dangerous than she already is, and I always like the blight coming from the mask's eyes. Hillbilly has quite a simplistic skin as well, but does have a few cool features, like the weapon seemingly bursting apart from the effects of the blight, and the spikes that have grown across his chest and back, and then it keeps the core features of Hillbilly visible from his disfigured appearance. Wesker's skin is kind of average, but I do like the direction that they were going with it. The knife looks pretty cool, and I like that the blighted serum has affected the Ouroboros within him, by making the tendrils more orange and bulge out from his arm. But I feel like more could have been done with Wesker, to be honest, what with all the weird and gross transformations across the Resident Evil franchise, but it's not a bad skin at all. Doctor's skin I actually quite like, as it accentuates his craziness, as the serum seems to have given Doctor a third eye on the side of his head, which are all darting around, as well as all the pipes and the tubes that are sticking out from his arms, which may have been used for some twisted experiments. Also, his intestines are hanging out, and you can see blood and the blighted serum flowing through them. Gross. Despite being fairly simplistic, I actually quite like the Executioner's skin. In some areas he appears to be tormented by the barbed wire, like how he torments survivors in the same way. And the skin has this sort of jagged look, mainly in the head and the knife. Unlike most other blighted skins, he is injected with 2 lots of the serum, one in his back and one in the knife, which emphasises his strength within the realm. Oni's blighted skin was one that I was looking forward to the most, but it left me slightly underwhelmed, even though it is still quite a cool skin. He has gained extra teeth and horns on his mask, with 2 larger horns around the side of his head, one of them being cut off partially. The third eye on the Oni's mask has grown larger and become more menacing, and all the masks across his body have bits of blight leaking from the eyes and horns respectively. The blight bulging from his katana is quite cool too though. Nemesis has quite a cool skin, with the blight exploding from his outfit, the extra skin plates on his back, and the pulsing pipes tightly wrapped around the device on his chest, showing that the blight is constantly being pumped around his body. His eyes have also been covered by an extra layer of skin, and there is a massive eye in the blight on his shoulder, which is a nice nod to the Resident Evil games. I just wish they had done a little bit more with this skin though, even though it's still pretty cool. Nurse's skin looks visually cool, but it's not one of my favourites to be honest. It's bumped up higher on this list because it's gross and distorts her a lot. The blight has caused these huge growths across her body, and her intestines have been inflated so much that they've been pushed out of her stomach and are pulsating. And the dress looks like it has been burnt at the bottom into these claws similar to the entity. The weapon is my favourite part of this skin, and it has had many syringes injected into it. Clown's skin is similar to his base look, but has been affected more by the blighted serum, which makes it a cooler skin than some of the others. There are some cool features, like his stomach filled with blight that is trying to burst open, but is being held together by staples, as well as the creepy facial expression, which is leaking blight from the mouth and eyes, as well as an extra row of fingers in his collection around his waist, I think it is a pretty cool and gross skin. Even though he was one of the original 3 killers, Wraith has a cool blighted skin in which the blight has accentuated one aspect of Wraith over anything else, and has made him more tree-like. You can see through his chest cavity and you can see his spine inside as well. With how the blighted serum is over his body, it looks like it exploded Wraith from the inside, and not reaching the further parts from the main area of the blight, like the end of his arms or legs. It's just a really cool skin, to be honest. Hag's look is really gross, and she almost looks overwhelmed by the effects of the blight. Parts of her look slightly petrified, and on her torso you can see a rib cage and exposed blighted organs. Originally I thought the skin was quite underwhelming, but it has grown on me quite a bit. There are parts which are still kind of simplistic, like the weapon, but it is a really cool skin though. Spirit's skin is another one similar to Hag, in which it has grown on me over time. It is really gross and visually cool with the pulsated bits of skin, like on her stomach and legs, where a ton of extra blighted serum is seemingly being stored. The glass piercing her skin has this cool orange glow, and on her head she has glass as horns and a third eye, similar to her ancestor, the Oni. And throughout the cuts all over her body you can see that the blight is leaking from all of them, and from her face too. It's just a really cool skin. The true blight skin for the blight is quite a cool look, with the visceral canker growing on his back, with a few of the entity's claws sticking out of it as well, and his face has been overtaken by the blight and replaced by parts of the canker as well. Blight kind of has a boost for the blighted skins, as he has been tinkering with the blighted serum for many years throughout his lore, but yeah, it's still a really cool skin. The Legion's look is one of my favourite in the game, and it's a really creative skin. It has all 4 members of the Legion mixed into one body. The main body is that of Frank, with Susie's face on the back of his head, and Julie's and Joey's faces on the chest, which all appear to be screaming or are in pain. There are many arms gripping around the main body from the other Legion members, and the weapon looks quite cool too. It's super cool and super creepy. I love what they did with it. My favourite blighted skin in the entire game is the one for Ghostface. This might be a bit biased since I do actually main Ghostface, but he just has one of the coolest blighted skins. He has this melted mask which looks really creepy but still cool. He has these fleshy wing things on the back of his arms which are kind of gross. His weapon is slightly melted but still looks tactical to fit in with his character. And he has an open chest cavity showing his guts, which are dripping with the blight. It's a really nice look at the disturbing effects that the blight serum can cause. It's just an awesome skin. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Please consider liking and subscribing if you did enjoy this sort of content, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.